Tragedy of Mundanity. Characters: Karl, an old Germanic male name meaning strong man. Klara, the feminine form of the late Latin name Clarus, meaning clear, bright. Chorus, Greek Horus, a mouth, the collective sound of human voices. The most important faith is that of one who sees, listens, and reads, not the one who paints, sings, or writes. Milorad Babic. Prologue. Full moon, Karl sleeps, Klara is awake. Moonlight penetrates the room. The two are up to their necks in tenderness. Seagulls screams to shatter the sky. The sun spits, and the sea beckons somewhere in the blue wilderness. Seagulls pierce the waves of the surf. The sun laughs, obscured by clouds.
Сегодня в моем колодце опять ночевала луна. Она одна, всегда прекрасна, она всегда одна. Как ей, бедняге, живется в холодной ночной вышине. Должно быть, ей становится грустно, и она снисходит ко мне.
Вязанкой дров за спиной старик манил в глубину черных вод. И вдруг я увидел сквозь полный бледный лик твое лицо в обрамлении звезд. В твоих глазах ее отражение голодное, может. Как мир не уйти от войны.
От лунного света я знаю, меня ты поймешь. Задай мне вопрос, но не жди ответа. Его в моих глазах прочтешь. Ты вчера была прекрасна, ты смотрела на закат, и я понял, как опасно на себе ловить твой взгляд.
verso il fondo che mi sembra il rene del cielo, ma sto cadendo in basso dove i coralli abitano i cuori spezzati si posano con reni di lacrime amare.
Chapter 1. Karl awakens.
Klara, this is a wonderful journey. The only shortcoming of which is that we are not going anywhere. This is a truly wonderful journey, but it still has one flaw. We are stuck in one place, and therefore I intend to put a stop to it. Today is the full moon, Klara, and as we know, the depth of the world and its mysteries it lies not in darkness but in gloom, but where life is joyful and in bloom. So now that I am awake, it is with perfect consciousness that I intend to stop this endless journey and finally escape this dead end. That's it. It's like I'm that stone that Sisyphus heaves up his Mount Ararat.
Karl, it's an ark. An ark is what someone heaved up Ararat, and most likely it was the Lord God himself, of course, where the last earth was found.
An ark?
And the ark rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat.
Right. Well, maybe for the good Lord as well, wondering too with this ark of his laid up there for good. That would explain a lot anyway. But Sisyphus, my dear, heaves his stone up a mountain located in Tartarus.
The underworld. That's the whole point, Klara. The stone plummets to hell. Yeah, to the dogs. And me, I am that stone. And you're Sisyphus. Or I'm Sisyphus, and you're the stone. That explains our symbiosis. You are Sisyphus, and I am Sisyphus, and Tantalus too. But we'll cover Tantalus a bit later. Now, Sisyphus.
Of the two of us, you are most likely the stone.
Sisyphus defied the gods. A stone is just a stone. Let him that is without sin cast the first. To you I've certainly been a stone for some time, in your mind. But Sisyphus, Klara, he challenged the gods. Think of it. It's super cool. Actually, you are a stone too, Klara. That very anvil strapped around my neck. All these stones are fucking hell. Get it, Klara? It's clear as a bell. And in this sense, of course, we are both Sisyphi. I was wrong. Forgive me. I was wrong when I said that I was a stone. Your Ararat is to blame for all this, and even with your Tartarus, you've mixed up all my cards again. But Sisyphus, yes. This is probably... Yes. This one's about us.
What have you dreamed about today, Karl, that you've come up with this idea to make things completely unbearable from the first thing out of your mouth?
Karl said, I dreamt the full moon was shining, just like it is now. We're sailing somewhere, and the tide rises and overwhelms us up to our necks, and we're riding the waves up and down, but in fact we're staying in one place, like a huge buoy. And so wave after wave they go on, and it seems that there's no point in fighting to stay above the surface because the waves are smashing everything. And then all of a sudden I wake up and I'm shouting, Klara, we're stuck in one place! And the full moon is shining, just like it is now. But now I clearly see what a riding hag of a dream that was. Now I see very clearly that you are Sisyphus, and I am Sisyphus, and we are both heaving this stone which the gods have shoved on us, and by the way, not in vain, but merely because we did not want to die and stay in the netherworld.
What are you talking about? It looks to me that's exactly where we are.
Yes, you, Klara, may not even realize it, but you defied the gods, and so did I. And by the way, your defiance was partly directed at me as well, because I was, after all, one of those gods who told you to stay in the netherworld, but this too we shall cover at a later time.
So you think we got out of there?
Sure. Flew away like a spider on a gossamer thread. But here's the catch. Right when we sat down for our feast, they found us, these gods of yours. And here we are now, two Sisyphi heaving this here stone. And yes, it's of course super cool that once we defied the gods, but this stone, Klara, it is heavy as hell.
Camus.
Okay, whatever you want. This Camus, Klara, is heavy as hell.
You're talking Camus' essay about Sisyphus.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Camus. Oh, really, Klara, you don't think that I'm throwing pearls before the swine here, legally represented by you, do you? Camus, of course. And Camus here, what I wanted to tell you, that is exactly what he told us in his, all there.
In his essay, Carl.
Yeah, in the essay by Camus. In this essay, Camus imagined a man, Sisyphus. He saw him as a happy man, because the stone was his reward. He did what he wanted. And the stone was living proof. Sisyphus rolled the stone up the mountain with pride, overflowing with joy, and he, by the way, was a king. Yes, his wish to live caused him endless torment, but it was his wish after all. And he adored how the ore glittered on the surface of the stone. It was a wonderful life, full of purpose.
And in every glint of ore, the whole world was revealed to him.
Yes. The world, Klara, was revealed to him in every glints of the feasts that were nevermore. Now, the tragedy of this whole story only dawns upon you in those rare moments when you see the writing on the wall and everything makes sense. You know what I mean? I just woke up in the full moon, and in the light of the moon, I can see very clearly what nauseating bullshit all this is. I see it very sharply, just like I see you now. I can see with clear perception what a pile of nauseating bullshit all this is. This is a perfectly unbearable journey, Klara. Therefore, this cannot go on. I'm bailing this ship.
Action is atonement in any situation. By the way, do you remember, Carl, that Homer's Sisyphus was a cunning, vicious, ambitious, and on the whole, as I see, rather dubious person, basically just like you?
Oh, well, Homer's everything is dubious. Why do you think those gods of his sit up there and laugh their Homeristic laughter at everyone? Because he was the purest of all hypocrites. He never threw anyone a bone, that Camus of yours.
Homer?
Homer Schmomer. You're just trying to mix up my cards again. I won't do. I've made up my mind. I defy you, Klara. I'm bailing this ship.
Now should we let it all go?
This is my challenge.
Go
My new challenge. As things stand now, it is time for you two to become one of the gods for a while. Klara, exult. I defy you. Go. Take your place on Mount Olympus. I defy all of you. Here's my challenge. I'm leaving.
В моей душе кошачий фарс, кашмирский зной, форс-мажор. На берегу Бон-Дезар открой свой лук для новых форм.
Я самый милый катаж, слышь, накорми меня с собой и разной милой ерундой. Украс кораллы твоих губ. I wanna feel that something's real. Поставил кофе и сварил Исмаил. Oh Lord, won't you tell me where we're at? Give me some reason, Pally. Now чужой закат, гулять под скатом жести крыш. Я буду летним днем летать, а утром пить росу травы.
Шнырем мохнатым хмель вдыхать, курить гашиши, созерцать.
Oh Lord, won't you tell me where we're at? Give me some reason, darling. Now all that we need to do is to let it all go down the valley. Oh!
Париж повергнут тошнотой. Идем со мной, мой кататуз. Будь самый нежный, но постой, будь верный, как любил берез. Easy rocker. Будь самой дальней, дальше звезд, будь кроткой, трепетной луной.
Будь жарким солнцем, be my first, и be my latest, две в одной. Великий be my God, и be my devil, два в одной. Две в одной. Go down the valley.
Рахиль и Лия,
Ты мой босс и мой фактотум.
Пинь и Бом.
Chapter 2, Coffee.
The word coffee entered the English language in 1582 via the Dutch coffee, borrowed from the Ottoman Turkish kahve, borrowed in turn from the Arabic kahwa. The latter was traditionally held to refer to a type of wine whose etymology is given by Arab lexicographers as deriving from the verb kahiyya, to lack hunger. It has also been proposed that the source may be the Proto-Central Semitic root meaning dark. A brewed drink prepared from roasted coffee beans, the seeds of berries from certain Coffea species. History dates back to ancient times and goes back to the first civilizations of the Middle East, although the origin is still unclear.
You know, the truth is, Clara, that I really do make a lot of coffee.
Yes, Karl, and also generously flavor it with brandy.
Fortune favors the bold. That is not the crux of it. That has nothing to do with the crux, Clara. You're always trying to put sticks in my wheels with these proportions of yours, as if they have some kind of point. And the whole point is that I just make a lot of coffee. But back then, at the time when you wore that ridiculous scarf,
That wasn't me.
let's suppose. Let's suppose that it was you. It just wasn't necessarily a scarf. But you must have worn something like that. However, to simplify things, let's suppose that you are the person who wore said scarf, and it's the one that I'm talking about now, and it seemed to you that you would always wear it. You would never take it off. And at that very time, I thought I would never, ever brew coffee again. Although we both knew very perfectly well that very soon, of course, you would throw this scarf to the backest of back burners and maybe even forget that it ever happened to you at all, and I wouldn't be able to help myself, and I'd make a cup of coffee. I'm just lazy, which makes it possible for me to hold this flag long and hard like it's not for nothing. I cannot make coffee for a very long time. On top of that, I had nothing to brew it in. And I didn't even have any coffee either, if you want to put it that way.
And I just didn't have any other scarves.
See? You admit it was you.
Maybe I'm just using my imagination.
Maybe, of course, none of this ever happened, and it all just came to me or you in some dream again that didn't completely sink in, and in fact, it was not with us at all and happened in a very different way, but let's pretend. Now then. Let's pretend. Here you are, never taking off a scarf that used to belong to a certain young man. And he, in turn, after having made you a cup of coffee, realizes that he will never make it for anyone else ever again.
All right. Especially since it is about us. And that would mean that it was so long ago, it could actually have happened. And then, if it did, what beautiful ideas, what high hopes we must have had. In this strange gesture, to merge with the object of one's desire, to unite, even on the basis of the most insignificant details of one another, the most ridiculous words uttered, to walk around repeating them later, like some mantra,
To take someone's habit and try it on like a coat.
to taste his manner of speaking. And then suddenly, it becomes your daily sustenance. For breakfast, you pour your yogurt over his verbs and interjections. For lunch, you draw his vowels and wind them up like spaghetti on a fork. And for dinner, you have a glass or two of his strong words, to become one with the object of your desire. Even just a little bit, to join the secret club for two.
It must have happened. Must have really happened, that Arbat coffee in Turkish back alleys.
Turkish coffee in Arbat back alleys.
Not that there was anything that special
Nothing
about it.
special at all.
Kitchen,
Filthy white stove,
jezve,
that obnoxious fridge.
everything, all of it so
Forgettable.
much like it always is.
Like the coffee always is.
Pause.
But suddenly, and I didn't realize how it came about, I realized that for some reason I needed only your touch and no one else's. It was only through your eyes that I suddenly wanted to see this world, and to know about it only what you know, to listen to only your versions of the truth, even if there were no truth in them. You were in them. And this became for me the only truth of the world. What a total mess. After all, for you the world remained as large as it always was.
Maybe it has less to do with Ararat and has more to do with Arbat. Maybe it had nothing to do with Arbat at all. Maybe it was something like Istiklal, Via del Corso.
I think you are capable of getting lost among 3 pines like a baby in the woods.
Or the poplars. The poplars in Plushicha. Oh, by the way, you know, Klara, in the wide, noisy streets, there's nothing left of you at all. You have been erased, covered by layers of gum, indifference, asphalt, tiles, more asphalt, more indifference, and depravity. But despite all this, in the curves of those Arbat back alleys, you can still be found. And music can still be heard there, your voice too. As I walk there, every time, I see your traces. I hear you walking beside me. I can see the drunken glint in your youthful eyes. And at every turn, in fact, I still see your hairs which you used to scatter everywhere. Whole piles of hair. And nails. And that perfume of yours that you used to dump everywhere. By the bucket load.
I wish it was some kind of Istanbul.
Well, it's all even Steven. This is the second Rome, that's the first one. I got lost in the 3 Romes. All this coffee everywhere, and everything so sweet, and all these seagulls, roasted chestnuts in that wind, either from the Bosphorus or from the steppes. And yes, I sometimes feel that I'm still wandering through all those alleys in search of you, as if coming back from some kind of war all the time. Wherever I look, there's There's either Scylla, Charybdis. As soon as I catch a break, there are those sirens there, or even worse, some nymph who spread her nets. And so here you are, floundering in the foam of either the sea or champagne, accompanied by that eternal shamanic knock of oars and high heels. And the next moment, you are riding again on horseback along some endless steppe. And where to? Where from? Does it even matter anymore?
Might as well linger somewhere for a dozen years.
But Klara, I'm chained to your feet like Odysseus to the mast of his ship. Get it? Nothing can break these chains of mine. Not even this collective mob of voices. So at least I'm safe here.
Do you think you have a heart, Karl?
Well, sure.
A soul? All that stuff needed to make what you're talking about work? Some mechanisms have to come into play for what you're describing, right? Do you get what I mean?
Of course I do. Both my heart and my soul are at your service, Klara. They have been for as long as I can remember.
That's not necessarily true. Those are merely your thoughts. You can think all you want that you have a heart. The kind of heart I'm talking about, the one you call mine. Just like I can think that I have you, but it doesn't make our thoughts anything but what they are. They are just thoughts, Karl.
Karl and Klara lose themselves in their thoughts. Tension thickens like sour milk.
But here I am. Right here. With all the bells and whistles, what's missing?
Action. Action is missing. Do something, Karl. Odysseus must kill the suitors, and your train just keeps leaving. Again and again.
When the train left the station, there were two lights on behind. The blue one was my baby, and the red one was my mind.
Fly by. Trains shove out one after the other. Now you see it, so you don't. Here's one more. And the host of these words swarm around us. Here they're passengers, there they're suitors, and they're all trying to knock us down all the time. And as if that's not enough, you keep throwing spokes in my wheels.
Sticks! I'm throwing sticks in your wheels. Wheels have spokes already.
All these buzzing swarms, this abyss of words infesting and deluding us, leading us astray. Here's one more, astray. This sea of moments that we've left behind and this ocean that lies ahead of us, it's all really just one drop. All this condenses into one single drop. Drop of the present day. I can be huge like a river, but I'm still just one drop. And outside there's the moon. Here it is. My thread of Ariadne. Its beam is like Ariadne's thread for me.
Where are you trying to escape with her help?
At the present moment, I would like to escape this, our nauseatingly wonderful journey in which I am currently buried right up to my very neck. And these are 3 birch trees.
Of course, like a baby in the pines.
Poplars.
And where is it leading you to, the thread?
To you. To you, Klara. Where else?
You have a very crooked path.
After all, I was looking for you even when there probably wasn't any of this. Somewhere out there, behind the antediluvian wall, wailing wall, trying to find and seize, and you were completely uncomeatable. I played you like a child. I used to create the most transcendent worlds that imagination was capable of. I used to think up names for you, even though you already had a bunch. They were all scattered all over in books, fairy tales, and movies, in newspapers, everywhere, far and wide. I would find your traces, and I explored you like scientists explore the universe in order to understand what's behind it all.
You measured my heart rate even as you kissed me.
I have everything on record.
I think you just wanted to figure out how to make me manageable, so that you can mold yourself out of me too. Yes, you were just trying to make me another you.
Well, one of me is more than enough for me.
Well, I did change.
Yes. Yes, you changed. And then I discovered what I was really like. And you would leave, and I'd fall in love with you as you left. I'd watch you go, and then look at the train schedule, and again I'd hop on one, and go there again, beyond the Wailing Wall, along the salty seas, in search of you.
And I used to leave all of them for you. You haven't lost the track yet?
Of course, the moon always showed me the way, and with the moonlight, I'd climb into your room, quiet and invisible. I'd leak through your windows, following the noise of the street, and barely breathing, I'd play ducks and drakes at the brim of your dreams. Together, with the wind, from the open window, I'd caress your hair on the pillow. And when the morning would come, I'd look at you through the reflection of your mirror. I'd hide out in your books and caress your fingers, while you languidly flipped through their pages on long winter nights. I turned into every object in your room, and so by means of the secret drops of my kisses, all our days would merge into the inexhaustible stream of my tenderness for you.
Karl, I think you need to calm down a little. In any case, the morning chill of the sea and the warm summer wind, those are definitely not you. You don't really think that you're the only one for me, do you?
Note to self.
Note to self.
Don't forget.
Don't forget.
Нам свойственно видеть смысл там, где ничего нет.
Жизнь — это несколько десятилетий, когда нет ни дня без погони за продолжением рода.
А я вдруг увидел тебя в Майамоне. Я не варю больше кофе с того дня, как встретил тебя, представь, где-нибудь
На пати.
На старом Арбате.
Everybody, let's make some love, everybody. You got to possess the knowledge, baby, to figure out the truth. The road to our happiness is paved by the bitter mistakes of youth.
Мне нужна кукла Бонни, иллюзия жизни, взгляд пустоты, что никогда уже больше не помнить
Того, что мне нужна ты. Ты все так же отчаянно носишь его случайно накинутый шар. Everybody, let's make some love, for God's sake. Everybody, make some love. Хочешь услышать песни сирен? Привяжи тебя к мачте! Мир иногда так красив, что это too much. Слышь, too much, это мир иногда так красив, что это too much. Слышь, too much, это мир так красив, мир так красив. Everybody, let's make some love, 'cause if we don't make love, why should we even live? Ты так красива, мир так красив, so come on and let's make some love. 'Cause if we don't make love, why should we even live? Ты так красива, я так красив, now come on and let's make some love. 'Cause if we don't make love, why should we even live?
Something very important, Klara. What I wouldn't give to budge from this spot, but I can't remember. I can't for the life of me recall. What was it?
It's just age. Age and your love for coffee, alcohol, and justifying yourself. As for the scarf, I don't know anything about it because it wasn't me. But I suspect that it plays some role here too.
Well, yeah. I like a good drink. So what? After all, it's only in a deep hangover that you can feel the true beauty of this world. When you're most vulnerable, when the gods are about to come for you, and in the moment when you know that you have to challenge them, that's when you suddenly realize how beautiful the world is. And sometimes it's so beautiful, Klara, it's just
Too much.
well, it really is too much. And it tears you apart, Klara. And it was one of those moments when I met you and your eyes opened towards mine.
Oh, stop it. What nonsense. What sentimental bullshit. You are bullshitting me, my dear Karl. Getting sloshed so that you can feel the beauty of the universe? What kind of shameless bullshit is that? Talk about drinking out of the box.
Because sometimes you need to essay your strength to try and reach rock bottom. It's like that moment again when Odysseus the cunning according to your Homer, oh what a barrel of laughs he was, shackles himself to the mast of his ship in order to listen to the sirens, and he alone listened to them, torn apart by its beauty, just like me.
Only we're not talking about Odysseus and his ship in the ocean, but you and your bottle of brandy. What's the point of feeding me all this bullshit, huh?
Because when I first saw you, it was like hearing the sirens. I'm sure of it, dead sure. Even I'm looking at you now. And I can hear the sirens. And I'm Homer.
Odysseus?
Exactly. Only I have to be tied to the mast of my rinky-dinky ship, and I don't even have a crew of deaf sailors, let alone a ship for that matter, and we're stuck in one spot! Klara, because we are two bucking Sisyphi, and Odysseus has to move. He has to return to Ithaca.
Where?
To Ithaca! His kingdom! To his little web. My ship embarked on a very long voyage. I've lost all connection with my people. This voyage, it is so long. We are not going anywhere at all, and I can't even remember when anything was any different. It even seems that there's no ship. No ship ever existed at all. I suppose you remember that hangovers come from things besides alcohol too. From anything that requires assaying one's strength. From a woman.
Well, then maybe you should refrain a little.
All this would make absolutely no sense if it had not been for that meeting. If it had not been for that glance. If the sirens had not screamed as if there were no tomorrow, and at that moment when you met me, if you and I... That was some challenge. You were a cherry, and I an ash.
Ash panache.
Panache! Like your unripened fruits, cherry. Like the corals of your lips, Klara.
Are you tripping? What cherry? What ash?
Come on, Klara. Ash is a masculine tree, and then there's Yggdrasil.
What?
Yggdrasil? From Old Norse Yggdrasil. An immense mythical tree that plays a central role in Norse cosmology, where it connects the 9 worlds. Yggdrasil is attested in the Poetic Edda, compiled in 13th century from earlier traditional sources, and the Prose Edda, written in the 13th century by Snorri Sturluson. In both sources, Yggdrasil is an immense ash tree that is central to the cosmos and considered very holy. The gods go to Yggdrasil daily at their traditional governing assemblies. The branches of Yggdrasil extend far into the heavens, and the tree is supported by 3 roots that extend far away into their locations. One to the well Urdambrunner in the heavens, one to the spring Evelgirning, and another to the well Mimisbrunner. Graciously within Yggdrasil, including the dragon Mythholger, and a named eagle, and the stairs, Dying, Dvarin, Junior, Jirapron.
But you know, the tree, the one that holds it all together. And you, well, what are you if you're not a cherry tree?
I don't want to be a tree at all. Especially if the tree that holds it all together is one like you.
Too bad. You're pretty. You make a really pretty cherry tree. Or an apple tree.
I'd even make a more suitable ash than you. You know what would be cool? If I were Bonnie and you were Clyde. Sure, we'd be Texans and you drink whiskey, but at least there'd be some kind of passion in all this shit shoveling. At least some kind of zest. But actually, Clyde, the way things are, you are unbearable. And the only criminal thing you do is steal from me, time and time again, robbing the corals from my lips. There's becoming less and less of them. And the huge coral reefs are dying along with every living thing that surrounds them. But this isn't enough for you, Clyde. And you shoot all your witnesses and everyone who tries to stand in your way. And there's no one who sees it except for me. And there's no one who tries to stop you except for me. And maybe this full moon, which sometimes suddenly illuminates everything for you. You shoot me time and time again, rob and kill, and every time me. It's all you do. It's like it's all you can do. Do you see your bullet marks on me? Do you see my blood on your hands? Take a look. In the light of your half-lit numbnut moon, you should see it all very clearly now.
Karl looks at Clara in the light of his half-wit numbnut moon.
Come now, baby, let me see you dancing. Come now, baby, let me hear you singing. Hear me singing a cappella. Come now, baby, let me taste your honey drips. Lips from the hips. And for breakfast, baby, cook me bunny. Won't you just come for darling? In this world there is just a little too much of love per hour. Come now, baby, I want to start from scratch. And I've got a dollar. Come now, baby, I will meet you in 10. I bet you can thrill me. We will never see each other again. So then you can kill me. Yeah, baby, kill me, but come now, baby, gonna go to Cairo. Feel the desert, see the dervish. Like the dervish that my heart is spinning. My heart is spinning in a social fire. Like the desert that my soul is burning out. The distance to the ocean. Like the ocean that your tears and yearnings. Messengers of devotion. In this world there is just a little too much of love per person. Come now, baby, I want to start from scratch. I don't need rehearsing, just tell me, baby, where did I go wrong? I'll get right back there. Listen, baby, this could be our last song.
train. Come now, baby, come on in my picture.
The skies are getting closer.
Let's pretend we'll love each other forever.
Sunshine, then whatever.
In this world there is just a little too much of love per person. Come now, baby, I want to start from scratch and no reimbursements. Come now, baby, I will meet you in 10. You bet I can thrill you. We will never hurt each other again. So now I can kill you. Yeah, baby, kill you, but we'll kill each other, but we will do it gently. Kill, we will.
Chapter 4 Cat Farce.
You know, I was looking at you just now, in the light of my numbnut moon, looking in your eyes. And suddenly they turned into two bottomless wells. And there it was. Its reflection, the moon in the well. La luna nel pozzo. So I'm looking at it and it's getting bigger, fuller. I feel as if I'm getting closer to her. It seems like I'm becoming weightless and soaring like smoke from a fire up there, up to her. And then I realized that in fact, the cold, hard fact is that I'm falling down to the bottom, to the very rock bottom. And now I find I'm one of those corals, living on the heaps of shambles of someone's broken hearts, which in their turn rest like the skeletons of sunken ships at the rock bottom of the sea, the most salty of seas, the sea of your tears.
You know, actually, there's a man who lives on this moon of yours. A man with an armful of brushwood. Been up there since time immemorial.
How the hell did you get up there?
He went out for some brushwood, apparently after his ship had sailed.
Ah, I know. When the gods forbid.
Or maybe he flew there on a cobweb. Nobody knows for sure. And when you are gone for a long time, then I too look at him, and I can clearly see that it is you, walking there, carefree, all by yourself. And to where? And if you are gone even longer, then I just see spots there again. And you've become that tiny red dot on the horizon I can never really see. It's so strange that actually all this time you can be near me, but sometimes near can be very far away.
Clara estimates the distance.
I used to hear music, but now I hear sheer torment.
It's just the wind howling outside the window.
Maybe you need to clean the windows, and then you will also see something.
But if the wind is howling outside the windows, then the music has not yet stopped. And since you're still able to listen to my nagging, then here you go. There's another song for you.
Yeah, that's not the kind of song I wanted to hear from you. You think that your mind has awakened and you've suddenly seen everything, but actually all you've done is close your eyes at that moment. You think you hear the same thing as me, but in fact you don't hear anyone but yourself. Time is a river, Karl. It flows, and every moment this river is already a different one. And it's not the kind of river that flows in two directions at once, even though you are always the same. And so you and I are now standing on the banks of this goddamned river and stuck in the quicksands of fruitlessness. However, if you pray to God for a very long time, asking Him to give you fruit, then maybe someone will even hear you. And the only way for you to realize what is happening to you is to close your eyes and try entering the river. Feel its flow, and then push off from the bottom and start swimming.
Yes. It's exactly what I've been trying to tell you for a New York minute.
But you do understand, don't you? Just hitting rock bottom is not enough. And even pushing off from it isn't enough. You need to take action. You have to do something. You know? Why don't I just leave? You can challenge your gods as much as you want, but one day you will find that there's no one left. There is no one to accept your challenges. I'm leaving.
That's cute. Make us some breakfast, will you?
A fish is nothing but a song when it's been washed up on the shore. I witnessed it inside the zoo where I was saved by a sad guru who got me through in their canoe. What is this creature at your feet? This time it hardly looks like me. Has this unfuck with a woman been standing in the rain again? He knows that pleasure's daily pain. As I lie by your side, nothing ever got me so high, oh, but nothing ever got you so low as well, baby. Let's this stupid ride. Love is something that you cannot hide, although if it ever comes out right, only time can tell. If you wish it well. Fly out the wishes of a boy, enfleshed in his beloved toy. As large as bloom and apple trees, keep fruit and die, so woman bees, and learns the time to plant the seed. He stands and holds her in his hands, as time makes lovers out of friends. As dawn settles in my room, the newlywed forget Get in the canoe. On attend que nous. Dit le triste gourou. Love is kind of
The conflict is essentially about this. The other is not you. Chapter 5, Clarinet.
Tantalus. I think it's high time we talk about him. 'Cause this is also, in fact, about us. About how you see a world that is full of beauty and you just can't get enough of it. Because everything vanishes into thin air as soon as you touch it. Disappears as soon as you get a hold of it, while thirst and craving never go away. Right. These torments, this is what I experience incessantly. But what if one day you do get enough? What if this craving stops? What will be left of you then? And is not he a happy man who languishes in thirst and suddenly sees an endless body of water before him? Is not he happy? Is not he who looks upon the feast happier than him who has already had his fill? He should be happy up to the very moment when he realizes that all of this will inevitably disappear as soon as he reaches out his hand. And while he is reaching out his hand, he is happy until he remembers the terrible truth.
It's not that complicated. You just have to be able to forget, Karl. You have to be able to forget.
Karl tries to forget.
Too bad you don't play anymore. It was so beautiful when you played for me.
There you go again. Same old stew. You know very well that I never played anything for you. You never change, Klara. Everything around us is always changing, always constantly disappearing, collapsing, falling apart.
It's not falling apart. Really, this is just your memory. If you're not able to forget, then it just erases everything. Like a sandstorm. First it clouds the horizon with a looming curtain, and then starts drawing near. It gets closer all the time, and that blooming oasis where you and I have just been, the one which promised us water and relief, turns out to be just a mirage in the scorched desert. And meanwhile, the sandstorm is drawing near, and in a moment it will be everywhere you look.
You're still here. That's what I wanted to tell you about Tantalus and his torments.
But it wasn't me wearing that scarf you keep remembering all the time. And you know what? I suspect that no one did.
No, you did. You were in love with me. And I just threw my scarf on you. You know, just happened to, casually. And then I went off into the night someplace to collect brushwood, per se. And I guess I took your sanity with me. nothing left except that scarf.
And you were so handsome, Karl. Per se, Karl, you were the most incredible of them all.
Oh, now that's definitely not about me.
No, no. One thing is certain. It was definitely you. And I heard some of the most beautiful music. And you played. You actually played it as if you were Orpheus who went down to Hades to get his Eurydice.
And then suddenly realized that she is Hades herself.
And me, I felt as if I were the sea. Silent fish would sleep in my hair. In my stomach were the deepest hollows where the heart sometimes sinks. That's how you played. Your rivers would flow into my bays. Odysseus' ships would sail along my waters. And the constellations of my freckles would guide their way, and they in turn would fall into storms made by my goosebumps, which sometimes ran in huge waves across the surface of me from the way you played. I became the sea. The most marvelous sirens would live on my islands, and they would sing for Odysseus, and so from there he returned home cunning and treacherous, where the prudent Penelope was waiting for him with 100 suitors, all the while staying faithful to him alone, as the story goes. And seagulls would pierce my waves. That's how you played, you see?
Oh, yeah. Maybe I could have played something like that.
But then, it became absolutely unbearably beautiful. And I just had to do it. Well, you do understand, don't you? It was all just, how do you like to put it? Too much. The music had to be stopped. It just filled everything. And there was no room for anything else. I think at that time you began to forget who you played it for. You just did not see anything else, did not hear and did not want to know. So at that point it was necessary to make a choice. Either it's me or it's music. Who could guess that without music only torment would remain?
Maybe it was me after all. So what'd you do?
I made my choice. Well, of course. I seized the moment when you were looking off at some other moon of yours, and I swiped your clarinet. I left the room and took it to the pawn shop, and now it's gone. I cashed it in, and the guy gave me these schmancy coral beads to remind me of what you stole from me. Look here. I got these earrings at the pawn shop. See? They're amber. And in them, look, 2 bizarre flies. Stuck like that, without budging for millions of years. And it seems that now they have nowhere to go ever. And it's not just small beans.
By the way, that's what called inclusive.
Huh?
Inclusion is any material that is trapped inside a mineral during its formation. Incluse, however, is a recluse who's voluntarily immured, as in a cave, hut, or isolated cell.
You know, the flies.
Look. This incluse looks like some smarty pants we used to know.
Who? Tantalis?
In any case, they're in over their heads. Somehow I don't feel so bad when I look at them. And on the other hand, where are all their friends now? Gone. Long gone. And these two, here they are, like a couple on the ark. Perhaps someday, too, they will moor someplace, and someone completely different will extract them and make something alive and amazing from their DNA.
Maybe we too are tossing about on that very ark amongst the raging sea.
Or the scorched desert.
Or we have already crashed on the rocks of Arama. And there's emptiness all around us, a wall of rain.
A sandstorm.
There's not even a dove to bring us an olive branch.
How would it get here? Everything is covered by sand from the storm.
Up to heaven itself. Seems to me that there's absolutely nothing left here except for you. What is the color of your dreams?
Sir Noble Knight was asked to freeze. star sings, and now its son replied the breeze. And somewhere in his glorious realm,
some common folk under the elm
would rest after a working day, the setting sun upon the hill. So rest your weary head, I say. Life is as old as a child's first word, as a boy's first love. So look to the skies above. Life is as old as a beautiful song, but you never know when it ends. So you dance, little goddess, dance. What is the color of your eyes when you're not wearing Hades' guise?
What is the color of your soul?
When you step lightly with bare soul upon the earth, mother of all.
Somewhere in this fairyland,
Touched and enchanted by your hand, the fragile creatures of the night do fall in love at the first sight with you, dear goddess in the light. Life is as short as a child's first word, as a boy's first love. So look to the skies above. Life is as long as a beautiful song, but you never know when it ends. So you dance, little goddess, dance. What is the color of the night? And both once asked a candlelight.
what is the color of the day? The whole once wandered, so they say. They're only trying to find their way.
And somewhere in our perfect world, if you find somebody in the world, the one who's sitting on the fence and trying to make up any sense, go dance for him, my goddess, dance. Life is as short as a child's first word, as a boy's first love. So look to the skies above. Life is as short as a beautiful song, but you never know when it ends. So yeah.
Chapter 6, Klara. Sometimes it feels like you don't exist either. There's neither me nor you. Nothing. Neither outside nor inside. Everywhere is emptiness. Void. And I myself am nothing more than one of those notes that keeps sounding. Sounding in this void, and you sound resonate in this cacophony of interaction between our voids, the voids we are made of.
But since we are notes, it means there is some kind of harmony in all this.
Yes. Can't steal that away from us.
You can't steal anything when there's nothing to be stolen.
Maybe there's some meaning in that. To steal whatever's most valuable from each other. Time, too, steals everything that you have eventually. And here we're just helping out.
And stealing each other's time.
And the time of all third parties involved.
So what do we do now? None of this can be returned, and nothing can be replaced, nor patched up with any kind of duct tape, and who knows why. But we're sitting here like two bare poplars. You and I are a ready-made set of banalities, the most vulgar and unforgivable ad nauseum. Here we are, two dull trees, rooted in their cliches, entirely made of generalities. Yes, yes, you don't even have the most mediocre cherry on this cake of yours, Karl, like a wow thing. And that's the plainest cake, really. Maybe that's the only wow thing about you.
Cherry and ash.
Yeah, well, that changes everything. Only there's nothing to be changed anymore.
When there's nothing, there's harmony. That's what it feels like sometimes in the light of this moon.
Karl!
What? Klara, what?
I think I understand what's happening. I seem to understand why this trip is so beautiful, but we still can't move anywhere. And it seems to me, Karl, I know why we want to escape this dead end so badly, but we never do. And our eternal stone still beckons us to heave it up Tartarus, from where yet again, almost from its very goddamn top, we will then yet again observe its enchanting fall with everlasting surprise every time, and then walk downhill and undertake again and again for this beautiful but completely meaningless in the light of your full and is indifferent to everything, and forgive me, but as banal as you are now, moon.
Why, Klara, why?
By the very same reason, my dear, for which you and I are doomed to be together and yet deprive each other of the most valuable things we have. So, Karl, do you get the deal?
What's the deal? Maybe you'll tell me? What's the deal, my dear Klara?
The deal is we are just words. Words in this idiotic tongue twister. That's all. That's all we are.
Resonance. Hear us? It's wonderful. We're resonating. Klara.
Resonance fills the space. Epilogue. Fireworks hit like a cold river. If you open the doors of perception and watch the sunset, you can see how everything becomes yesterday while remaining exactly the same as 100 years ago. We will never be able to go back, even though everyone would be happy to. The world is endless as it always was. Life is one as it was yesterday. The fish rots from the head down. Beyond the event horizon is singularity. Pigs fly once in a blue moon. You spoil and then you split. Better luck next time. When life gives you lemons, make the best of both worlds.
Мой этот вечно зеленый остров, вечно цветущий
столько не плыть назад.
Мы можем врать себе сколько угодно о том, что мы дети цветов,
Но мы все равно никогда не обманем своих матерей и отцов.
О, сколько я видел женщин, столько же выпил вина.
Это раскричал эту чик-чик,
Во всем желая добраться до дна.
Стеном за летом обещал пригощать, и снова наступит весна.
Но сперва и вся прелесть в этом букете.
осень, тоска, зима.
И тут ничего не поделать, сестер, что сказал бы нам он.
Среди цветов у нас тоже родится тот, кто примет отцом.
Вот они наши оковы, и жизнь, что томится в вине.
Пойди, разорви их и будешь как новый.
Но старье все равно остается в тебе, старье все равно остается в тебе. Твое все равно достается тебе. Your cherry orchard is gonna stay within. Your inner island is gonna be evergreen.
Кто бы ты ни был, выйди из комнаты, вечер в твоем доме все так знакомо.
Он стоит как последний предел, за которым великий простор откроется взор.
Вот ты, унылая, как мой пейзаж за окном.
Вот мне не угнаться за молодым львом.
Он все же стал вчерашним днем.
Рыба гниет с головы днем.
Открой перевосприятие, и всюду увидишь закат.
Все люди звери, все дети братья, все так же, как 100 лет назад.
Ты можешь читать тысячи книг и бросать за вызовом вызов судьбе, пока не поймешь, наконец, Владимир.
Старик, все, что ты ищешь, всегда было в тебе.
Тут ничего не поделать, сестер, закон един для всех.
So what? Chase what you like as long as you feel alive. Somewhat.
Вот они наши альковы, и жизнь, что томится в игре.
Пойди, расцелуй всех и будешь как новый. Но
Старье все равно остается в тебе. Старье все равно остается в тебе. Твое все равно достается тебе. Ain't no knowing what it's gonna be like. There's no telling where the lightning will strike. I am the dandelion. You are the gardener's delight. I am the dandelion. You are the gardener's delight. I am the dandelion. You are the gardener's delight. Sweet as a cherry pie. Oh, baby, you blow my mind. Fair is fair, blow as you like.
Спасибо большое. Вот пьесу написал Митя со всеми песнями. Мы первый раз пробуем на английском языке, потому что Tiffany уезжает послезавтра. Но это все, мы открыли этот театр, безопасный театр где-то месяц назад. Он является частью большого движения по имени «Караван». Караван стремится к тому, чтобы поддерживать трансформацию в экологии, в культуре и в сообществе. И нам кажется, что на самом деле нам, если с культурной точки зрения от театра, нам нужно вернуть устную традицию в нашу жизнь. Потому что раньше устная традиция, она очень помогла человеку жить. И как раз, когда мы стали писать, мы начали терять способность рассказывать истории. Мы это сейчас читаем пьесу. Мы стремимся к тому, чтобы рассказывать истории. И мы знаем, что у каждого человека есть истории. И поэтому наш театр официально открыт к предложениям от любого человека. Мы не принимаем любую историю. У нас критерия есть. В основе этой критерии это то, что история должна дать силу. В первую очередь читателю, и потом у читателя должна быть какая-то идея, как передать эту силу. Спасибо большое, что собрались. Можно сказать про следующей неделе уже? Да, можно. Ага. На следующей неделе Мирьям Сихон будет рассказывать «Волчий глаз». Глаз волка. Глаз волка.
Владимир, французский писатель, и книга называется «Глаз волка».
Ага. И 31-го играем, рассказываем эту историю на русском языке, на оригинальном. Спасибо большое.
Now, only now. I've been feeling a bit stoned throughout the...
I realized that the bird is really far now when I was sitting there.
Я поняла, я забыла с собой.
Tiffany, счастливо. Спасибо, спасибо.
Ты такой классный, Карл, господи, очень классный. Мне кажется, тебе прям реально очень идет эта игра и как-то какой-то новый смысл. Я вот не слышала, не знаю, были на английском. Да, твоя какая-то история в этом есть.
You?
Нормализовал.